There is no more he, there is only Zer. Put on your big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar, as the prophecy was once recast by Akira Toriyama in a live-action Dragon Ball Z remake. I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
And I'm just starting to mix my drink, Broadcaster Nickels.
And today, Broadcaster, is the final episode of Season 2 of the Crack Cellar. Can you believe it? 57 episodes of pure entertainment.
I can't believe it, because we planned it. Okay?
Oh, man.
Everything must perish.
It must, and today is going to be the final blossoming of the Nick Cage rating system. How do you feel about that as the father of the Nick Cage rating system?
I feel proud.
Didn't disappoint you?
I brought it in, and I will take it out.
I brought you into this world, and I'll take you out of it.
But not before the make or break movie of Nicolas Cage's career happens.
Con Air 2?
Maybe in a better world. You broke my heart. Why'd you have to say that?
So, fun fact, Broadcaster Nickels, Cyberpunk 2077 was Steam's most played game of 2021, despite everyone in the world calling it like the worst game of all time and them pulling it off of the PSN store and all this shit. What do you think about that?
I'm not surprised, because A, it was purchased by a lot of people. So, I mean, a lot of people are going to play it. And on top of that, I'd like to know how they are really, the metrics that go into that award.
Well, it's Steam. They just released their numbers.
But they said it's the most played of 2021?
I'm assuming that's just hours.
Yeah, like just total hours, but not like consecutive hours, or
who knows,
every day, or like active out users every day, because I'm sure those are abysmal.
Yeah,
but that's a huge modding community as well, because a lot of people are trying to mod the hell out of that game to make it the game that CD Projekt Red promised.
Yeah, I never thought it was as bad as people said. It is probably one of my favorite games of 2021. I didn't have any of the bugs other people had. Like, I really had a smooth experience, other than the fact I had to play it on like low graphic settings. But besides that, it was great. And to this day, the first game I want to go back and replay when I finally get a new video card is Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a completely opposite opinion. I think it's pretty much a low-budget Grand Theft Auto with a Cyberpunk skin on it. That's what I think. I mean, it doesn't have a quarter of the depth of, like, say, something like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're making that comparison.
But it's trying to be Grand Theft Auto. I always thought, when that game first came out, I thought it was going to be its own thing. Like very, like, think Deus Ex Machina meets like a super like in-depth RPG sandbox world, like 80 hours to finish a campaign,
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Grand Theft Auto mixed with like Mass Effect, and I feel like that's kind of what it was, to be honest. Close.
Except the combat was terrible.
I didn't mind it. I mean, I didn't think it was the best, but I didn't think it was that bad either. I enjoyed it. Speaking of terrible, Broadcaster Nickels, I've heard that potentially you might have some thoughts on a specific FPS game. Maybe one that might be terrible.
Warzone Pacific?
Maybe.
Hunt Showdown, Halo Infinite, Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah, I never played Duke Nukem Forever. I kind of regret that. I should have tried it.
I don't know, man. I play like 3 different FPSs, right? And off and on, I'll play a game like Splitgate, which is very small studio, very few amount of devs actively working on it, and it runs perfect. Very rarely do I get a hiccup, you know? And I'm looking at the game and I'm just like, how does a handful of people put this together and it just is running on all cylinders? Sure, it's not as in-depth and vast as a AAA game, but at least it's all working, you know?
It's functional, man.
And I go to other games where it's just like, one of my favorite games is like Hunt Showdown. And it's noticeable. Like when I don't think there's a more noticeable game or FPS shooter out there when you know the network fucked you with a shot. Like Hunt Showdown is just one of those games where you physically can see the bullet pretty much go into the person and blood splat happens and they do the and you can see where it hit him in the body, but then it doesn't kill him. But in then other instances it will at the same distance. It's just like then you're like, okay, so what happened? Yeah. You know, there's no shields, there's no armor plating in that game. It's just if you get a headshot at a certain distance, they're dead. It doesn't matter if you have a little fucking pistol or a high caliber rifle. If you're within 10 meters or 7 meters or something like that, if you hit them in the head, they're fucking done.
Mm-hmm.
So I see things like that, and I'm just like, man, this game's been out for 4 fucking years plus or something like that. And they're still dealing with this shit. It's crazy. They still are charging people for skins. They're still doing their Steam sales. They're still raking in the fucking money. But they're just quietly just pushing off the most serious problems of their game. Because I'm guessing people just don't give a fuck. Like, it's weird. And then you go to Halo Infinite, and it's fresh, and everyone has eyes on it, and people do give a fuck about it. And so people are bitching about the network. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, again, another game, tons of money coming in, and it's having server issues. And it's backed by a company who supposedly has the biggest, baddest fucking servers in the world right now. And then you hop over to... what was the other one I was thinking of? Call of Duty. A yearly FPS, a clone shooter. These guys have not had an inch of creativity in eons, okay? And it seems like the game is not only the gameplay and mechanics are not only degrading year after year, but the network is too. And my conspiracy hat just starts to go on. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on with the network here in all these games? And it seems to be the ones that need it the most, the competitive shooters, where pretty much the only instance in gaming where you'll give a fuck about your network connection. You know?
Yep.
It's just like, this should be like a huge part of the budget. And it just seems, and for the past decade, it is these companies have proven it not to be.
It's not even be on the
it's not on the fucking radar.
Yeah.
and it's proven by the fact that Halo Infinite has such bad network and server connections.
The power of Azure.
And it's by
behold.
Microsoft. Yeah, it's like what? Whoa. So that shit really just bums me out. That's been like fucking just killing me on the inside lately, because that's really all anyone wants to make nowadays is competitive shooters. That's where all the marketing and the money goes, and they don't even work.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the crash, the Atari style crash is coming for the online service competitive shooter model, because all these games suck.
Yep. I mean,
it's shovelware. It's becoming shovelware.
It feels like shovelware too. Like it's crazy too, because you can get into all kinds of different like arguments about games nowadays, because they're not only are there a lot more people playing video games, it's a lot more mainstream, I should say, but it's also gone political. And I think just the fact that the political nature of things is in the gaming industry now is it makes everything more volatile, period. So when you talk about things like cosmetics in the store and stuff like that, you just get offhand tools essentially to saying, it's like it's a free to play game, law, just you won't just grow up, like, and it's just crazy to think because you're like, obviously you don't know that person, but it's just like, you really think it's free to play though? Like it's something paid for it and they're making enough money to warrant it to be free to play. So how are you using the idea that it was free for you as an excuse for it to be in poor shape as a video game as a whole?
Yeah,
it's weird.
The way I like to think of it is Armored Core. You remember those Armored Core games, like the old ones, just the ones on the PS2. Think about the amount of customizations and parts in those games. Now, imagine if you just put all of those parts and all those customizations on a battle pass. But you say, oh, it's free to play. Okay, well, where's the option to just pay $50 and get everything? You'll never see that because the whole point is it's not free to play. They're trying to get you to pay more for less.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, in the whole crux to this thing is it's vanity in a social environment, right? Because back in the day, social internet experiences were novel and limited. And the customization to a game was still thought about as like single player content, even though it was being used in like Halo 3, for instance, where Halo 3 and Reach. Back in those days, like people were getting all the customization for free and relatively easy, and then showed it off to each other, and everyone got to see like what everyone's custom armor looked like, and they got used to that. That's where the idea of the Guardian from Destiny came from. When you see all those custom armors and stuff like that, any old school Halo fan will be like, we know exactly where that idea that came from, And so I don't know where I was going to go in that other than just looking at Halo Infinite and just seeing the exact opposite of that, where it's like everything is paywalled. It's super limited and people, it's just like, well, the gameplay's free. You should just want to play it for the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the problem is that it's all free to play now. Even the ones that aren't free to play, like Halo Infinite, where the campaign is really the game, like the purchase price of the game has just been transferred to the campaign, and the multiplayer is quote unquote free to play. But the campaign isn't worth $60, and part of it is the customization that you're going to get for multiplayer that is free to play, but it's still going to be a pale shadow of what you used to get for the same price. I get why people say, oh, it's free to play, but they're not thinking through it all the way. Like they're thinking first layer and second layer, and they're not going fourth and fifth layer where the real truth comes out of what's going on.
I don't even know if they're going second layer because, I mean, all you got to do is basic math. Look back at Halo 5. What did you get for $60? You got a campaign, multiplayer, Forge, co-op, custom games, and then I think it was like $10 and $20 bundles of maps and armors, shit like that.
Yeah.
When you look at Halo Infinite, it's $60 for a campaign, and the multiplayer is free to play. Well, I mean, like, how do you just ignore that math? Obviously, the campaign is paying for the multiplayer. Like what? Like, and it's supposed to. And then the other things that you usually get, like the Forge and custom game, not custom games, Forge and co-op campaign are just IOUs. They're like $60 now. We'll get you back later. We promise.
Maybe.
But multiplayer is free to play. It's like, what do you mean it's free to play? No, it's not.
I mean, it's free to play, but you get absolutely nothing. You know what it's like? It's like when you're going to school and everyone else you're going to school with has brand new school clothes. Their parents, paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars on. They all look, really nice in their new school clothes. And you're the poor kid that's still wearing your clothes from last year. That's basically what playing Halo Infinite is like as a free-to-play player. You can play, but everyone's looking at you like, loser, you have nothing. Look at my fucking fire skull that appears when I kill people or whatever the fuck all that shit is.
Yeah.
It's a class system, you know.
Everything's turning into that.
It is. It is indeed. And speaking of class systems, Broadcaster Nickels, as you know, there is only one class that can hold Nick Cage, and it is the S plus tier of entertainment. And today, as our solemn duty, we're going to be retiring the Nick Cage rating system with one last review to end the year of The Matrix 4, Broadcaster Nickels. You know, we had some real wild theories about Matrix 4 back in the day when we previewed it, and any of those theories we came up with would have been a lot better than what we got. I don't know if you ever listened to that episode back and listened to what we predicted a few years ago, but both of our ideas of the movie sounded way cooler than what we ended up getting. But that's not really the point. We're going to send off this rating system with a preview, actually, of Nick Cage's upcoming movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And I don't know, Broadcaster Nickels, what do you think about this movie? It looks kind of reminds me of Harold and Kumar, but, you know, Nick Cage and The Mandalorian instead. What do you think?
I'm confused about the movie, to be honest. Because half the allure to Nick Cage was the fact that he does outrageous, loony movies and everyone hates on him. You know, it's just like, well, fuck you, dude. This guy rocks. And now, I don't know if it's just the bias in me that makes me want him to stay like that, even though he was a huge actor back in the day. But this movie kind of seems to be rather making fun of him and like Nick Cage fans, or it's his like big idea to get back into the mainstream scene and get known by a new generation. Because he is kind of a meme that's fading now, you know, and he will disappear if he doesn't pull a move like this off. So that's kind of like the dark side that both sides of what I just said are kind of dark. Rather, it's me biased wanting him to stay down where he's at, or it's the other side where Nick Cage might, if it's successful of a movie, will go mainstream. And he's not picking good people to go mainstream with. I'll tell you that. Pedro Pascal and fucking who else was in that commercial or the trailer?
NPH. Yeah,
NPH, which is Connection, The Matrix 4, not good. So I don't know. It's things like that kind of just rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about this movie is the fact that while he was shooting it, he was getting blackout drunk in like Denny's, like random Denny's in Las Vegas or whatever.
No, the concept of it's great. Like whoever's filming it and wrote it knows what they're doing.
Well, it's literally an autobiographical movie about his life from the mid-2000s, right? Because that's what happened. He fell off the Hollywood whitelist. He became this sort of pariah, and he just started taking anything and everything because he had legal problems / financial problems. I think there were some divorces mixed in that might have not went in his favor.
I thought it was a fictional like tale about a super fan of his that he pretty much gets.
Oh, no.
Like
this
set up with
the legend of Nick Cage that set up all of these cheap movies he did is because he was going through sort of like what happened with Wesley Snipes, but he didn't go to jail. Yeah, he didn't go to jail. He paid it off. And the way he paid it off is he said yes to everything. Like he took every single job. So you got this crazy amount of movies. If you look at Nick Cage's IMDb from like Ghost Rider to Mandy, you will see some shit in there. You're just like, what? what is all this?
Yeah, he's like our boy Seagal, bro. He's
Yeah.
still like the movies he shows up in and be like, I swear there was like less than 60 seconds of dialogue from Seagal, but they said he was in the movie.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think this movie is basically an autobiographical tale of that period because they make a few references in the trailer that points you in that direction. Like, NPH is his agent in this movie, and they're in the hot tub, and Nick Cage is like, you're telling me you want me to go do some kid's birthday party or something? Fuck that. And then NPH is like, but it's $1 million. And then it just like flash cuts to Nick Cage. He's like, I'm in. Like it really played into like the I'll take anything as long as the money's there part of that whole tale.
You know what the kind of related but kind of off subject about that whole comment is? That a person, just think about our way of life and what $1 million means, and that the fact that you can become some form of a human where you have to be kind of coerced to go make $1 million for appearing at a birthday. You know, you're like, oh man, are you serious? $1 million at a birthday? Like, fuck, man, serious, man? Like, I'd be fucking tripping out the door.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways.
Yeah, there's definitely a big class divide in this country, and it has nothing to do with race. I'll tell you that right now.
No. Whoa. Are you telling me my quadroonship is fake?
Broadcaster, there were a few moments in this trailer that I thought were genuinely funny, and the one that really sticks out is when like this dude's on the phone with like his wife, I guess, and she's like, haven't you seen The Croods too? And he's just like gets indignant and he's like, fuck no, I haven't seen The Croods too. I've seen Face Off. I've seen Con Air. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah.
I like that part was awesome.
Yeah. That was the best part of the trailer, to be honest.
I'm hoping that spirit is alive in this movie all the way through. That's my hope, is that like that feeling, that vibe isn't just like two scenes. It's throughout.
For sure. Yeah, no, I mean, the trailer, as far as comedy goes, got me stoked. Like, it looks like a good, solid movie.
Yeah, it looks entertaining.
Everyone pays a price in Hollywood.
I can't.
Was made.
Let's do a little thought exercise right now. What was the last Nick Cage movie you watched that you didn't like, that you didn't enjoy? Not like you liked it, but it wasn't the best movie in the world. Like just a movie you're straight up, I didn't like that movie.
Ghost Rider.
Exactly, man. Despite the fact that Nick Cage went on this spiral of I'll take any role, all of these movies were good, or most of them anyway. I didn't see all of them. I'm not going to pretend I've seen all of these because there's like hundreds of them. Like he went nuts in the 2000s. But I've seen a lot of them, and all of them I enjoyed thoroughly. Even like Mom and Dad, is like this weird B movie that like you just think sucks, but like Nick Cage has some moments in that movie where you're just like, yes, that scene by itself was worth the price of admission.
This is the moments where I wish we did video on YouTube, because what you just said about Mom and Dad, I just instantly thought of that meme where it's just him like licking the tip of that beer can at the end of the movie. Man. He's just like, just like really fast. Because then we could insert it right then.
Yeah. I will actually amend what I just said, though, because I caught myself in a lie. I did not like Jiu-Jitsu. And he was technically in that movie as like a real character, not just a cameo. He was in it. But that movie was garbage. Other than Jiu-Jitsu, though. Ghost Rider was the last one.
We still haven't watched Ghostlands or something.
Prisoners of the Ghostland or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's yeah, every time I turn on Plex, I see that one staring at me. I'm like, is tonight the night? And I never end up pulling the trigger. Someday I will, for sure. There's a lot of Nick Cage to go around, Broadcaster.
It was a drought for a while. He's back, though.
Yeah. I think Face Off 2 got greenlit, too, by the way.
I'm pretty sure it got greenlit months ago, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was a couple months. I think it was around my birthday. I think I remember reading about it on my birthday, or close to it. So it's been a few months.
Hopefully they're actually filming or something, or people are reviewing scripts, because the moment I see Nick Cage talking about Face Off, I'm gonna be stoked. Probably going to be the first movie I go back to theaters to watch.
So, Broadcaster, not that you really have to worry about this with most Nick Cage movies, but the presence of NPH begs the question. And Pedro Pascal for that matter, do you think we're going to get some woke washing in this movie? Do you think this might be where Nick Cage maybe jumps the shark? What do you think? There's a few woke actors in this one. Quite a few.
Finishing my framboise.
Good call.
Well, the thing is, taxes are a bitch. And I haven't met anybody that won't do anything to get rid of them. So, so that being said, yes, there's a high chance with almost everything that comes out now that there will be at least 20% wokeified. You know,
20% is your minimum floor, huh?
At least. I'm probably being forgiving. It's probably higher. I mean, it's some of the stuff subtle, you know, like the compositions of families or how many women are in like every single scene, how few of a certain type of people are in a certain scene. You know, it's like when you're being lied to. You know, humans have this innate ability just to smell bullshit. They're like, I'm pretty sure the motherfucker's lying to me. You know, and it's the same thing when you see these scenes with woke shit. You're just like, why is everyone a woman with a short haircut? What's going on? You know, it's like there's a part of your brain that's just like simulation bad, bad. You know, loop.
Speaking of loops and short female haircuts, Broadcaster Nickels, are you ready to get to our review of the fabled Matrix 4, aka Matrix Resurrections, aka Matrix, A Love Story?
I am. I'm in love with that blue-haired Asian.
She's pretty hot.
The first blue hair I've ever been attracted to.
Yeah.
What's that? You want more Crack Cellar? This is good. Join your lords on Twitter at The Crack Cellar and Facebook.com/The Crack Cellar.
Hey, you over there. Are you a straight-up Chad or a strong woman? Well, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and your favorite podcasting app. Or, if you're a straight-up beta cuck, find us on YouTube with the rest of the Cloud Chasers. And we're back.
Matrix 4 sucks.
With our review of Lana Wachowski's Matrix Resurrections. Yeah, that's it. That's the ticket.
Wow.
We're just going to call it the Matrix 4 for our purposes. And the Z who created this movie describes it as the following. Return to a world of two realities. One, everyday life. The other, what lies behind it. To find out if his reality is a construct, to truly know himself, Mr. Anderson will have to choose to follow the White Rabbit once more. Even the synopsis of this movie sounds like a tired rehash of the original.
That scene where she takes her coat off and shows the White Rabbit tattoo on her shoulder.
God.
That is that encapsulates the whole movie.
It is. Yeah, it does.
It like the feeling
not the whole
you
movie.
Get from the whole movie,
but a good chunk of it. The majority of it. I'll go with the majority of it. Maybe we can disagree there.
I guess, dude.
Are there okay? We're. I think neither of us think this is a great movie. Shocker! Surprise! But are there any parts of? Let's just start off like this. Are there any parts you did like? Because there are a few I did like. Let's start positive and then work ourselves down to the rest of the 98% of the movie.
I liked the evolution of the tech.
You mean what part of the tech?
I liked the fact that they didn't need telephones anymore.
Yeah.
The fact that they were using mirrors.
The mirrors were cool. I like the mirrors too. Didn't they
was a
do that
cool-
in Matrix 2 and 3 as well, though?
I don't think so.
See, I don't know. It's been a while since I watched 2 and 3. I actually rewatched the first Matrix like a few months ago. But I haven't rewatched 2 and 3 recently. I swear I remember the mirror thing from one of those. Maybe I'm tripping, though.
No, I'm not sure. But not only that, but just the evolution of the tech in the universe as a whole. Like the robots evolved, like
You
there's
like the
different
friendly
forms
robots?
now. I did not think that was cool.
A lot of people did not like the friendly robots.
I didn't like the friendly robots as the idea of them being friendly, but I liked the concept of their art and like what they were. Like it's like
the little one reminded me of Mini Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
when he shrinks down.
I don't know. I just like the concept of everything.
Yeah,
like the pods that Trinity and Neo were kept in. Like it was like they were separated and they were like used as special batteries, not normal batteries.
Yeah,
and like
I like that too.
Because I was kind of griping that in my mind. I was like, so they're just in the simulation again. I was like, I swear to God, if they're just on one of those giant battery trees, like there's this huge thing, use the one, he almost shut down the mainframe, and they're just like, nah, let's just put him back on a fucking battery tree, dude.
Yeah, that part of the storyline I liked. I thought that was good writing. It was a good concept. The two of them there. Make no mistake, this is a romance movie. This isn't like a Matrix movie as anyone knows it. This is like if you mix like Leonardo DiCaprio's Romeo and Juliet into a Matrix movie is sort of what we got here. It's all about Neo and Trinity being like these lovers twisted in time, Soul Calibur intro meme inserted here.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the movie starts out with seamlessly Keanu Reeves, Neo, Thomas Anderson, back in the Matrix. You have no idea why.
Well, it starts out with bugs in the modal, but then it immediately goes to what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. But it like you don't get... The movie's clearly trying to not tell you why, like the reveal that the Matrix was just rebooted. Essentially, it was supposed to be a big reveal, and I think that's. I mean, there's a lot of things that was wrong with the movie, but I think that was one of the big meat chunks.
Yeah,
that really let people down. Because it's like right at the beginning of the movie, you're just like, okay, Thomas Anderson's back in the Matrix. There's all these weird similarities, but everything's changed. And they're just like, yeah, it's just, they rebooted it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I'm okay with that. I'll just say I watched this movie twice. The first time I watched it, I was a tad bit on the drunk side of the force. Let's just put it that way. I was a little warm and fuzzy watching it the first time, and I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was the greatest movie of all time, but I was like, it's a C. And then I thought to myself, I was pretty drunk last night. Maybe I should watch that again sober. And I did. I watched it sober the second time. And I had a lot more problems with it sober. I'll put it that way. And one of the problems I had is watching it the second time, that whole beginning part is a lot worse because the first time you watch it, there's a lot of mystery. You don't know what's going on. You see Thomas Anderson as a video game developer, like, Grandma's Boy, the future of gaming character, like with his 6 screens and shit. And you're like, okay, this is interesting. What's going on here? And the second time you watch it, you know immediately, like, oh, they're just in the Matrix. He's making a Matrix within the Matrix, and it's all the Matrix. And you're just like, okay, this actually isn't that cool. This isn't what I thought it was the first time, and it kind of cheapens it a little bit. That being said, I think it could have been avoided. I think that the reveal you talked about where, they just rebooted the Matrix, Doogie Howser rebooted the Matrix, guys. That could be the name of the movie. The Matrix, Doogie Howser reboots the Matrix, part Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. I honestly, here I'll say this because I think in a better world, this is what we would have got out of the idea of Matrix. What Matrix 4 was. The plot twist, right when they said the Matrix got rebooted. Instead, I think it would have been a cool espionage mission into the Matrix. They they used some hacking or whatever to fool the Matrix into thinking they were back in it, just being little slaves. And they were like building like some really cool, complicated loop up that would finally crash the system, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what starts happening. Like halfway through the movie, the Matrix starts crashing around them, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and then Neo like goes from being the long-haired, not John Wick dude to like
please address him as Jedi Master Keanu for the rest of this review, please.
And then he like all of a sudden the digital shit goes over him, and he's like slick backed fucking Keanu, ready to go with fucking dual MP5 machine guns.
No, yeah, Neo. Fun fact: Neo does not
Is
pick
a
up
cuck.
a gun in this entire movie. Every single time he does anything, it's to protect Trinity or protect himself, but never to attack. He has no offensive moves in this movie. Every single thing he does is essentially a force push. He's
Which is
force
believable.
pushing bullets away, you know?
I'm not gonna lie, it's one of the most believable parts of this movie because the sexual tension between Keanu Reeves and the actress that plays Trinity is palpable.
They definitely fucked back in the day.
They're fucking right now.
They might
like,
still be. Yeah. Have you
come
seen
on, yeah,
Keanu's
some of those
wife?
scenes, bro? You're like looking at him, you're just like, damn, dude, this like both their eyes are like, we should be fucking right now.
Keanu's wife looks like she could be Trinity's mom.
Yeah,
She's like a grandma. It's very bizarre. But yeah, this is not.
I think it's a tax scam.
Well, there's a lot to talk about here. First of all,
Keanu's tax scam.
let's just stay towards the beginning of the movie. Just to gloss over the very beginning, the modal that Bugs runs. Essentially, this movie starts off with the same opening scene as The Matrix, and that's a theme that will continue throughout the movie. It's all sort of like an amalgamation of the original Matrix sort of happening before your eyes in a bizarre, twisted way. And the beginning is literally the Trinity scene where Agent Smith goes into the fucking dilapidated hotel to track down Trinity, finds her at the phone, and fucking they do the battle, and it's all go to the rooftops, do the Matrix jumps, all that. But in this one, Trinity loses, and Bugs is like, "Oh, this is a simulation. This is a modal within a simulation." Blah blah blah. And then you realize that Agent Smith, the recasted Black Agent Smith, who looks not only doesn't look anything like Agent Smith, doesn't sound anything like Agent Smith, doesn't have anything in common with Agent Smith, character-wise, period, other than them just calling him that. That's actually Morpheus. Which, I swear to God, this is one of the parts of the movie that really bugs me. No pun intended. You wrote Morpheus in as this modal AI creation of the original Morpheus, and then we later find out mixed with the Oracle, which also, I think there's only a few things in this movie that were woke. I don't think this movie was as woke as I thought it was going to be. And one of the few woke parts is definitely the new Morpheus isn't just Morpheus. It's Morpheus with the Oracle mixed in for good measure, right?
A woman.
But then it's also supposed to be Agent Smith in this modal. Agent Smith turns on his fellow agents and says randomly, when they get to Neo's apartment, when they jump through some doors, I'm actually Morpheus. And you're just kind of like, okay, why? Like, why did you?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why.
Please do.
Because Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving are fucking gangsters. And they looked at the script and they were like, this is horseshit. Flaming garbage.
Okay.
Get it out of my face.
So then is that what you think? Because I wasn't sure. On one hand, they could have looked at the scripts and be like, hell nah. Other hand, Lana
Here's the
Wachowski
thing.
might not have liked those two people. She might not have liked.
I think,
And I feel like I'm being very respectful by calling it Lana because, listen,
I used, yeah, Ronald McDonald is what I would call it. We're gonna get canceled. Edit that.
We've already been canceled on multiple platforms, Broadcaster, and there are more to come. But let's just see what do you think could have been the possible reason outside of them not liking the script? Do you think maybe that Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving might have had a few opinions that old Z doesn't quite like? Or do you think it was them
What about
nixing
the
the
other
script?
Wachowski that didn't show up?
Z is not involved in the Matrix, and that is another huge question mark for me. Why did that one decide not to join? Do they maybe disagree with ruining their franchise and didn't want any part of it? Or perhaps the brothers / sisters aren't in great standing right now. Maybe they're fighting. I don't know.
I think that definitely is what the case is with Z. But
which Z?
I think the only... Oh, you're right. One.
Number one.
Number one. I honestly think this is my hot take. I think Keanu Reeves lately has gotten high on his own supply.
I do.
I think with the success of John Wick and him doing a new Bill and Ted, and like he thinks like he's in mainstream culture again in his later parts of his life. And
he doesn't think he is. He is firmly.
Well, he is, but I think he's quickly losing it because everything he's doing is turning to shit.
Well, this might be the jumping the shark moment where he does.
Cyberpunk 2077 was one of the biggest gaming letdowns in the world, and he was the face of it.
I don't agree with that, but I'll allow it. Go on.
I mean, you could contest it, but it's pretty much a community opinion.
I'll take Cyberpunk 2077 over Matrix 4 and over Bill and Ted Get Woke any day of the week.
Sure. But I think the only reason Matrix, what I'm getting to is I think he thinks he's the shit right now, and that he could, when Wachowski pitched the idea of a new Matrix, he's just like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Whatever it is, I believe in you because I'm fucking Keanu Reeves. It will sell type of shit. And I don't think he thought, there was no idea in his head that he could be in a bad Matrix movie.
Yeah.
You know? And it was worse than the first two sequels in my mind.
Well, I want to go into that more towards the end of the review because I don't know. I don't quite 100% agree with you. It's definitely a billion light years away from the original. Let's talk about that later.
If it's a billion light years from the original, it's at least 500 million light years away from the second.
All right. So from here we have the slow pan of the Matrix code, and we go into the Keanu Reeves I'm a video game programmer who made the Matrix, and it's just a video game, and this is real life part of the story. Now, I will say the first time I watched the movie, I liked this part of the movie. This was actually probably my favorite part of the movie, except for a part at the very end that we'll talk about later. But there was something about it, and I think this could be my internal bias because I'm an indie video game developer myself, not a professional one, definitely not like what he was portrayed as in this movie. But the idea of him being in the Matrix,
more video game work than he did.
Oh, definitely. The idea of him creating this video game that is the Matrix that actually was real, but he's been like brainwashed to think it wasn't real. This actually is really close to some of the storyline I've written in my own games. And it was kind of like a weird moment where I was like, holy shit. Like I'm like feeling,
same.
I was feeling a little simpatico for a while. That it faded the second watch, and it even faded towards the end of the first watch a bit. But I really like the concept of it originally, in the beginning, when we first are seeing it, when we don't have answers, when we don't know what's going on, and it's sort of mysterious. I liked it at that point. There are a few things I really, really, really didn't like about it. First off, Agent Smith being recast. I don't know why. I don't know if it's your theory that Hugo Weaving just looked at the script and flipped his nose up and walked away. Or
Theory?
Dude, Lana, I'm telling you right now, there could be politics involved. There are a few. This is what I'll say. I don't want to circle back too much, but I'll just give my last thought on this before we move on. Lawrence Fishburne has politics that I think Lana Wachowski will not agree with. I think that they are diametrically opposed politically. I don't know anything about Hugo Weaving's politics, so I'm not even going to comment on that side. But I do know that Lawrence Fishburne is sort of like a Tim Allen type. You know, a black Tim Allen. I'm thinking that there could have been some friction, and that might have been an intentional snub. And let's just put it this way. Lawrence Fishburne is not known to turn down roles. He does a lot of B movies. He does a lot of roles where they would be much less money and much less notoriety than The Matrix 4.
Yeah. I mean, here's an idea. New year, new title. And I think you should go by The Black Tim Allen. A good title, think about it.
It's not a bad title, for being real about it.
Let's just call this episode The Black Tim Allen and see how many clicks it gets. Do it. I bet you, dude.
I dare you. Dude. I dare you to do it.
I dare you to do it and watch how many fucking clicks it gets.
Maybe I'll do it on YouTube.
Do it on YouTube.
All right, well, getting back to it, so like this whole part of the story where we're seeing Neo back to being Thomas Anderson, back to being a monkey in a cubicle, but he's the king monkey now, right? He's like the future of gaming guy. And this part, I enjoyed it initially just because of like what I already said with like the fact that you're like going really meta, like, oh, it was all just a video game, or did I create a video game that mirrored what really happened inside the Matrix type of thing. NPH initially as the counselor, I hated. Even the first time I was like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Get the fuck out of here. It was so obvious that he was a handler. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, how Neo, Thomas Anderson.
That's what he played for the Matrix, too. That's funny.
You're supposed to be smart, man. This guy's obviously a handler. Doesn't get it. Just kind of hanky-panky with that whole thing early on. The part that I do like, despite the fact I don't like the recasted Agent Smith, is the way that Agent Smith came in and like sort of was like, we're making this with or without you. Do you want to see us rape your baby in the ass? You don't? Okay, you're making it with us. That whole thing, I loved the sort of like pressure of it, like the sort of the anxiety. And I'll just say, generally speaking, I really liked Keanu Reeves' performance in this movie. That's one of the bright spots for me. I think that he really played Thomas Anderson again. He didn't play John Wick. I was really expecting him to just play John Wick in this movie. I don't know about you, but that's really what I thought. And this is a really unique performance by Keanu Reeves. There's a few scenes where he like makes some weird facial expressions and sort of like stumbles his speech a little bit that's very reminiscent of his original performance in The Matrix. And I like that.
Well, that's because Keanu Reeves is a good actor.
He is. And people don't respect him for that. They kind of look at him as a meme.
Well, that's because he's doing terrible movies like Matrix 4 Resurrection. What was that Ronin movie? 43 Ronin? Some shit like that.
Oh, man, I forgot about that one.
Great movie. Good, solid, creative new IPs starring Keanu Reeves. Matrix 4? I'm going to say that belongs next to... Well.
Well.
What's that island Jeffrey
Dramatic
Epstein was on? Take him to St. James Island.
The pyramid on Pedo Island.
Yeah, St. James Island, I think is
Okay.
what it's called.
St. James. Man, oh man.
Take him to the hut in St. James.
But anyway, so Agent Smith basically says, we're doing it with or without you, blah, blah, blah. Are you in or you're out? And he didn't want to do it, but he did it. This is literally the story of Lana Wachowski doing The Matrix 4. I don't know if you know this or not, but the whole thing is exactly the same. Like, WB literally said, hey, we're going to make a new Matrix movie with or without you. And they didn't want to do it. And then they did it begrudgingly. And I think that plays into how this movie was designed, how it was written, as essentially an FU to actual Matrix fans and anyone who takes the movie seriously. Like, if you're one of those people like me that was like 14 or 15 when The Matrix came out, you saw it in the theaters and it blew your fucking mind. This was an FU to you, essentially. All of this subterfuge and all of like this meta dialogue is basically Lana Wachowski saying, you dummy, it was just a movie. Get over it.
You know what's funny too, though? When you really look back at the scope of like the history of our childhood, that happened to a lot of movies. There was a lot of IPs where there was a really good old school movie, then another one came out and it was horse shit. And then in our early 20s, we were getting a new original version of that movie because enough time had passed where people had forgot about the nightmare that was created that was supposed to be successful. And I feel like that movies like Matrix 4 fit that bill. Like, she doesn't realize that she's at the end of her career making terrible movies. And that one day when we're all super old, people are going to be like, oh, dude, remember that one Matrix movie that was good and the rest that were garbage? Yeah. Let's try to do that again.
I'm going to say right now that Matrix 4 really, I think, cements my conspiracy theory about the Wachowskis and the original Matrix, that they didn't make it, that they stole it and they just made it into a movie on, forged documents. Okay. This is, I don't think that the original Matrix was their idea. I think they stole it. I think they became rich and famous off of it. And I think that's why they resent the Matrix series so much. They resent it because they know they didn't make it and they know everything they actually made got panned. The only movie that the Wachowskis ever made that I like, other than the original Matrix and borderline Matrix 3, like, I kind of like Matrix 3, but it's deeply flawed, but there's some good parts of it, is V for Vendetta, my boy Hugo Weaving. I don't know if they actually wrote V for Vendetta or it was just some story someone pitched to them and then they made it into their movie. But those are
a graphic novel.
Ah, okay. So that's the thing. I don't think the Wachowskis have ever actually made a story that people liked. I think that the only ones they've made people like are stories they got from other sources. And The Matrix 4, in my opinion, is proof positive of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... there's a lot of conspiracy theories that are borderline believable. And then there's ones that you want to not be true, but it's just like, it's so hard not to believe it, because they've shown no example of them continuing what the first movie was like. Like the atmosphere that was created. It's like they were reading off a playbook. Here's a good example. What was that movie? Was it Waterboy where they stole his playbook or something? It's like that, where you're like, you're just badass because you got the cheats and then it's taken from you. And you're just like, I don't know what to do. I guess I'll just look at what I did and try to imitate it, and that's what 2, 3, and 4 is.
I guess I'll just go make Speed Racer and Jupiter Ascending.
Man.
I know people like Cloud Atlas. I think Cloud Atlas is garbage too.
Right.
But
I thought It's been a long time since I watched it, and I was kind of drunk when I watched it because it's 4 hours fucking long or something.
It is.
Like that.
And it took me like 5 sittings to actually watch Cloud Atlas. I fell asleep on that movie so many times, but I've definitely seen it all the way through, and I think it's not great. It's an okay, borderline, not good movie, but it has some bright spots. And that's kind of how I feel about Matrix 4, honestly. There are some bright spots, and one of the surprises, I think, to me was when Mr. Anderson is now making the new Matrix game for Agent Smith, recasted, and they're in the writer's room, and Christina Ricci shows up, my girl, Wednesday Addams, by the way, still looking fine as hell. Love Christina Ricci. Don't know how she got involved in this, but she is.
Don't ask questions.
Yeah, she was there, and I like that part of it just because she was there. And this was like a controversial scene, though, because this is when it went really meta. And they, in the writer's room of making the new Matrix video game within the movie, they're talking about what the Matrix is. And this is one of those parts that I thought might go really woke. But I think that the way it was written was actually sort of equal offender. They sort of made fun of people that thought it was deep. They made fun of people that only liked the action and the bullet time effects. And they made fun of people that thought it was a transgender analogy or a critique on capitalism. They kind of lampooned all of it. And I was surprised by that. I really, knowing the Wachowskis' current meta of thinking, I really thought they were going to go in hot, go in hard on the transgender and sort of be like, no, you're wrong. It was about transgender stuff.
Yeah, sure. I get it. You're saying that the Wachowski that was involved with this movie was actually trying to be a normal person and getting it out, projecting it through this shitty movie she was making. I get it.
Yeah,
there was a real moment in the movie. Wow.
I think this movie is just a confession that she stole the Matrix one. I think that's
exactly.
what this movie is.
Yeah, here we
it's
go. Now we're turning this idea into something.
But yeah, there's a lot of memey stuff here. You know, they bring up bullet time a lot and like just a lot of like kind of buzzwords and stuff. And it does kind of seem like a real writer's room. The part about this I liked, especially the first time I watched it, but even the second time, was like the treadmill moments with Thomas Anderson, where like it was like alarm clock, going on the treadmill, listening to these idiots talk about the Matrix one, go to bed, get back on the treadmill, listen to more bullshit about what
that was probably
that was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
That was my favorite part, to be honest. I think
it was good.
That was the only moment where I genuinely laughed, and I thought it was a good one. It wasn't a bad laugh.
Now, I think where it jumps the shark a little bit is the one of the cooler action sequences when the building gets invaded. They're like, oh, some 14-year-old swatted the building. You know, he's butthurt about a patch, blah, blah, blah. And we find out this is really a ploy by New Morpheus, a.k.a. Candyman, a.k.a. get the fuck off my TV. He shows up, comes out of the bathroom stall, and this is one of the parts of this movie that enraged me. It's my least favorite part of the movie. It is responsible for like probably 50% of my hatred of this movie, and it is New Morpheus. The way that he ridicules the character of Morpheus, I want to punch this guy sometimes. He comes out and he like start going, at last, trying to mock the original Morpheus, and he's like, I didn't know if that was throwback was too soon. Was it too soon? And all of his dialogue was like that. All of it. It was just mocking. It was almost like Lana Wachowski hates Lawrence Fishburne and wanted to mock the fuck out of his character.
That whole thing with him getting or like taken out of the Matrix again and stuff, and going through the theater and like looking the original movie playing on the screen and like the hallucinations of the past and stuff. I was like, this is fucked up.
Yes, it is. It's like a hit piece.
That's what it definitely felt like. It was like, are we making fun of like the only good thing we got going on in this universe right now? Is that what's fucking happening?
And what cracks me up too is that like in the 90s, we had a lot of cool black actors. Like we had a lot of black roles. Like I think the 90s were post-racism. I think the 90s was like the post-racism golden age for cinema where black actors got good roles. They had good movies. Like you look at Blade with Wesley Snipes. There were all these really cool, fucking Denzel Washington. Like there were all these really cool black actors doing really cool shit. Lawrence Fishburne being one of them. And
it was a great time for the black culture and pop culture.
Like, it really was. Yeah. And for them to like just like go hard on the Morpheus character as like the main woke character. If you want to say there was a woke character in the original Matrix, it was basically Morpheus, right? Yeah. He was a main character that was black and he was awesome. And
not only was he black, but he was the mentor figure.
Yes.
Like he was like the legit, not like that stereotypical like old stubborn black man that just rants philosophically, you know, on the porch or some type of weird shit, but like a legitimate like main mentor actor.
He was eloquent. He like spoke really well. He was just like this amazing badass in every way. And for them to go out of their way to shit on this character, it says a lot to me about what's going on here. And it's like I said,
there's mixed signals because I've heard things that Lawrence Fishburne, like after like Matrix 2 and 3, and I guess there's like a hiatus in his career or something like that shortly after those movies or something like that.
He probably made bank. He's like, I'm out, bitch.
Yeah, no doubt. Who knows what he's doing? I'm not saying what happened or anything, but I swear I heard or I read somewhere, and it could be total bullshit, but he resented the idea of being known as Morpheus only. Like he was trying to get movie deals, and people would always be trying to like give him roles that were very Morpheus-esque. You know, they want him to be typecasted essentially. And
yeah, it's a common story in Hollywood.
Yeah, so like things like that, with the idea maybe with Wachowski not liking him, those go head to head. You know, like there's a couple good reasons why I know why he wouldn't come back to the role of Morpheus.
And one of those reasons might be that every single action set piece was like reused from the original Matrix trilogy. When he's in the bathroom with New Morpheus and they're doing this whole little speech where New Morpheus is just defecating on himself as a character, and then like the VR versions of the people on the ship appear to him. He's like, he's not out yet. And he's like, nah, man, he's having a moment. I was just like, oh God, is this like the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Shut the fuck up. And then immediately the SWAT people come in and he proceeds to do the run up the wall and shoot thing that literally was copy and pasted.
It was so dumb.
So many of these action sequences were copy and pasted, except for the one I really liked at the end, what we'll talk about later. But this is like where it kind of sets the example of like, we're getting a lot of copy and paste in this movie. Now Go on.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's just a total different, it's a different idea going into the movie. I think in the young crowd and woke crowd, you know, like this vein of entertainment that they were trying to turn the Matrix into, action isn't cool. It's not in. It's kind of like novel to them. So them making fun of like these iconic action moments of the Matrix was supposed to be kind of like this ha 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 moment, like big brain idea, you know,
sort of like Adam McKay's new movie Don't Look Up.
Sure.
Yeah. It's a trend, isn't it? It's a trend in Hollywood right now. Make fun of all the fans that you originally got that made you famous. Now you shit on because they like your old stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Something also to bring up, Sense8.
Oh,
wasn't
boy.
That both the Wachowskis?
It was, and
wasn't that original? So, and I just want to make this connection. I
knew we were going to talk about this. I wasn't sure if you would bring it up or I would,
because I don't per se agree with the Wachowskis. They can live their lives. I don't like anything they do, but I do want to set the record straight because I don't want to slander them. Was the Sense8 series originally a sci-fi series? Or was it Netflix originally?
I think it was Netflix to begin with.
Okay. I didn't know if Netflix got it from Sci-Fi because it was canceled or something. Because my brain's telling me that.
Nah, it was a Netflix series.
Okay, because I was about to go on a rant about how they used to make sci-fi originals, and now they're trying to make AAA movies again, and it doesn't work like that. Okay, like
Sense8
when you're
was a
sci-fi, you stay on sci-fi. All right, you're done now. You below B.
Yeah. Sense8 was a glorified Sci-Fi Channel original. And what I thought you were going to actually say is that half the cast of Sense8 is in Matrix 4.
Oh, yeah.
Like, dude,
I'm surprised I didn't bring that up.
It was jarring, man. Like, I only watched the first, or wait, I might have watched the second season of Sense8. Were there 3 or 2? I don't remember. I know the last season I didn't watch. I just started to boycott it because the show was horrible. But
what's his name from? He was in Sense8, but he also was in Stargate Universe.
Yeah. What was his name?
Salu, rest in power, Stargate Universe, one of the unsung heroes of that fucking IP. Yeah.
He was good in SGU, not good in Sense8, and not good in Matrix 4. That's my hot take.
Confirmed.
but yeah, anyway, half the fucking cast of Sense8 is in this fucking movie, and it's super distracting. It totally breaks immersion. Big mistake. There's a list of big mistakes. This is one
almost
of them.
Like the Wachowskis can't get anybody to work with them, even their own brother/sister. You know, wow.
But anyway, everything we've been talking about with this scene isn't actually what I hate the most. What I hate the most is when he escapes the bathroom and, you know, he walks through the hallway, then an elevator explodes behind him. That was cool. That reminded me of the FRS commercial from 2013. You know, Scion was really doing hot commercials back then for their cars, and, you know, they kind of took that from him, and I'm okay with that.
Pretty dated.
But what really
I'm not gonna lie, that's the most dated deep cut I've heard in a while.
What really pissed me off about this part of the movie was that as is Neo, Mr. Anderson, whatever, Keanu, Force Master, Jedi Master Keanu, as he's stumbling past the exploding elevators like, oh man, what's going on? Out of nowhere, Agent Smith shows up, who is at this point not Agent Smith.
Not Hugo Weaving.
Not Hugo Weaving at all. And
let us refer to him as not Hugo Weaving from here on out.
We'll call him New Smith. He is New Smith, and
I don't like that.
The business partner who forced Mr. Anderson to make this new video game Matrix. He stumbles.
Partner. Yeah, we'll go with that.
He looks at a gun on the ground, and then like his eyes twitch, and we're supposed to believe he just becomes Agent Smith, like by seeing a gun on the ground. This was so cheap, so cheesy, and so disrespectful to the audience. I could not believe that they just wanted us to believe that, oh, him just being there seeing a gun on the ground reminded him that he is the badass Hugo Weaving that hunted down Neo for, 3 movies. It's just, I don't know, man. That part bugged the fuck out of me, and they never really elaborate on it. They're just like, nope, that's what happened. He saw a handgun on the ground, and he got all of his memories back. Moving on.
Oh, man. Creatively bankrupt.
Speaking of moving on, he realizes he's Agent Smith. He grabs the gun off the ground, puts it to Force Master Keanu's head, and pulls the trigger, blows his brains out. But then it goes through like this time warp thing, and he just shows up at MPH's house and says, "Whoa, deja vu," and we hit the reset button. Don't like this. Did not like this at all. This was cheap. It was cheesy, and it made fun of 2 of my favorite characters from the original, Morpheus and Agent Smith, and it also emasculated the fuck out of Neo. It was the Trinity, no pun intended.
Weird. It's like the 3 prominent males of one of the greatest movies ever made were being shat on, and 2/3 of that equation wasn't even a part of the movie. It's like there was a problem at hand.
And by the way, this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. Just to be clear. Houston, we have a problem.
I just realized the alcoholic beverage that I am enjoying right now has 6.9% alcohol in it.
6.9% of flavor.
Anyways, go on.
So now we have this part where MPH is like, you know what? You had a psychotic break and you're better now. And you're so improved and I'm so proud of you. And I know you're just going to walk out of here and just be a real soldier. And he walks out and he immediately goes to a roof to jump off and kill himself, which I think was appropriate. I think that actually was a good writing choice.
Yeah,
because
that was a good writing choice. Because probably what the writer felt like at that point.
Yeah. Yep. And this is where...
Dear humanity, the Wachowskis have me kidnapped. They have had me only chicken biscuit in the basement for the last week. I will most likely kill myself the moment I see daylight.
Yeah. So this was a good scene. More good acting. No, this was a bad scene. I'm sorry. Good acting from Keanu Reeves. Again, I'll just continue to say his acting performance in this movie was good. It was one of the shining parts of the movie. He's about to kill himself. He's like, I'll fall or I'll fly. Like some of the lines he had in his little kind of drunken monologue before he was about to jump were good. Then it goes to shit when Bugs shows up. And I'll tell you right now, I liked Bugs. I think that Bugs was a good character. I like the hot Asian chick that plays her. For being a blue-haired female who shows up right off the bat, didn't hate her. She was good.
The only thing I didn't like about her character, she kind of just was inserted as like an important character, like with no real build-up.
Yeah, she reminded me of the guy from Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat movie. Remember the guy who was the main character who isn't a character of Mortal Kombat that they clearly put in to replace Johnny Cage?
Yeah.
That's what she reminded me of in this movie.
It's like Frost, the female Sub-Zero that was in like 2 games or whatever. It's like, what?
Frost. I forgot about her.
Stop. Anyways, she was cool. I liked her. She was probably one of the better parts of the movie. Probably because I was attracted to her. But
oh yeah, she is hot and she was a good actress. And her character was written decently. Like she wasn't like one of those like really off-putting, annoying feminist characters. She was like sort of a strong female, more in the line of like Mila Jovovich and Sigourney Weaver types. You know what I mean? She's more like that than she is like, say, Kristen Wiig from Ghostbusters.
Oh, God.
But anyway, the scene sucked, mainly because she shows up when he's about to jump. And she's just like, hey, let me show my shoulder. Look, it's a white rabbit. You remember that from the first movie, right?
I paused the movie there and didn't come back till like 2 hours later.
Man.
I literally just like audibly went, wow. And just paused the movie and I was like, I'm going to play Halo for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she takes him through a glowing white door that is like, the roof access door, but it's glowing white now because it's going to take Neo.
Now they're on a train in Bangkok. I'm just kidding. Where were they at?
No, it is going to take them to a train.
It wasn't Bangkok.
In Japan.
It was a train somewhere.
Yeah. It takes them to a train in Japan. And this is where she starts explaining, moving portals are harder to track. Good. I like that dialogue. We got some good stuff mixed in here. And then we get to the mirror. The mirror that is too small for him to fit into. But it's like, think of it as a matter of perspective. The mirror gets bigger the closer you are to it. I liked that. Like, there's some good stuff here. And
yeah, for sure.
So we do that and, goes through the mirror. And this is where it sort of falls off the tracks. Because now we go into this weird, like, 1920s abandoned theater room that has a cut screen, movie theater screen, showing the original Matrix that they walked through.
I found this very disrespectful.
It was. This whole scene is the most disrespectful scene in sequel history, I think, dude. I can't think of one more disrespectful in multiple ways, too. So Morpheus is there. New Morpheus, let's be clear. New Morpheus is there.
Punk ass Morpheus.
And he proceeds to go, I've been waiting for you, blah, blah, blah. The reality is this and that, blah, blah. Like, basically, he takes the speech of Morpheus when he originally meets Neo in the first Matrix and insults it directly. Just like says, blah, blah, blah. Red pill, blue pill, blah, blah, blah. It is crazy that this was allowed to happen. You would think someone at Warner Brothers would have seen this in the cut room and been like, wait a second, they're trying to sabotage this movie, full stop. But no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
That shit really was weird to me.
It was so weird. It was so bad. It was so pointless. They're like, we thought a reminder of your first meeting with Morpheus would help you with New Morpheus. And then, like, New Morpheus is like, oh yeah, nothing like a little nostalgia to make you accepting of blah, blah, blah. Another huge diss at the fans. What they're basically saying is, we know you won't accept our movie as what it is, so we have to show you the old movie so that you'll feel accepted and feel okay about it, which isn't true and is just insulting as fuck. It's so insulting.
Well, I think Matrix 4 is just one giant insult. But our opinions can differ. But
I think there are a few good parts, but I agree with you overall.
You remember the movie 300?
Yes. That was a great movie.
Remember that pit?
I do.
They all got when they were like at the beginning, the narrator, he was just like, babies are bad. We throw them in the pit. With the rest of the bad babies.
The bad babies.
That's where the Matrix 4 belongs. But it didn't get thrown away. It turned into that mutant hunchback guy that wanted to be part of the Spartan army. You know? And he's trying to like tell Leonidas that he's one of the boys, but he's not. He's not one of the boys.
Yeah.
That's Matrix 4.
A little bit, yeah. So after a bunch of meaningless, disrespectful dialogue from New Morpheus, and Bugs kind of just chilling there looking hot, a bunch of, random soldier guys show up to start shooting. They found us. Now, this is when they escape back into the train in Japan, and this is one of the parts I liked about the movie. They shoot an RPG at them as they're escaping, and it goes through the dimensional door into the train in Japan and blows up the train. I thought that was really fucking cool.
Yeah,
I like that part. And I like this whole scene in the Japan train after, because we get to this weird battle royale scene where there's this thing in Matrix 4 called swarm mode, which is kind of cringy in most cases, but in this part I liked.
Cringy. I don't know what you're talking about.
In this part I liked it because I'll be real. The reason I liked it is because there's one part where a Japanese schoolgirl in a Japanese schoolgirl outfit gets swarmed and tries to stab Neo with a pencil. That I love. That was great. I don't know what about it. It reminded me of Battle Royale a little bit. It was awesome.
I think they were definitely trying to summon those vibes a little bit. I like the idea of swarm mode as like a feature of the system, but Wachowski doing it came off super cringy.
Yeah.
Like, I thought swarm mode to me, like if I was writing this movie, swarm mode would have been like a whole bunch of like NPCs at once turning into agents. Remember like in Matrix 2 when Agent Smith just alone was cloned a bunch of times and swarmed Neo?
The only cool part about Matrix 2 is what you're talking about. The only good part about Matrix 2.
It's like that, but all the NPCs essentially just get a change of wardrobe and like start standing up straight and get glasses, but they're all the actual actors, and then they all just start marching towards them with fucking DEs, 50 Action Express, because that's what makes an agent, if anyone was wondering, which this movie was lacking. A whole lot of Desert Eagle, .50 Action Express. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, and I misspoke earlier. So when they go into that Theater 30s room, they actually don't go through the mirror yet. They're just going through a door. And then they go through the mirror, the second time in the Japanese train, right? When they're escaping the swarm. And that's when he becomes untethered again from the Matrix, and the friendly robots come to save him and bring him to the wannabe Nebuchadnezzar.
That's a wannabe. Where Jada Pinkett Smith
And
reveals herself.
this, all right, I'm going to say right now, this is where this movie goes from okay/bad to horrible / burn it with fire for a good hour. This is not good. They take him, the friendly robots save him. We started off with him like flying over the Matrix module with Trinity in it, and Trinity like opening her eyes and like moving her hand up, like, okay. Like, no. I thought that was really cringy. Then we get him on the wannabe Nebuchadnezzar. Same exact sort of thing where it's like, oh, you're fighting it, Neo. You gotta fight. You gotta fight to live, bro. And we have like this rehash Morpheus fight. New Morpheus. Trying to get him to survive through the rehabilitation process of leaving the Matrix again. And, you know, he keeps taunting him, like, oh, you're going to save Trinity, right? And then he gets mad and he does his Jedi Force Master push thing and blows up the simulation room and wakes up in the real world. And man, does it just get bad from here. So we have some walk and talks. We have like some like, oh, hi, I'm this person. And oh, I'm a big fan. I'm a Neo fight. And I know everything about Neos. And even Keanu Reeves in his delivery in this scene is kind of like, you can tell that he's sort of like, what, bitch? Wait, you know, like, what? You studied me, and that's like your job is to study me? What the fuck are you talking about, bro?
Can you believe Keanu Reeves really wanted to do this movie?
I feel like he owed a favor.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Because it's just like, who green? Like,
then again, the new Bill and Ted movie
script?
was not that great either. So it's sort of like,
Yeah, it's true. But that was his best friend.
It was.
And it was like,
yeah,
it was one of his boys that he was really trying to help out.
He must feel that way about someone on that movie. Maybe the Trinity actress, maybe Lana Wachowski himself. I don't know, but it definitely wasn't Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, so now we go to Io, which is basically Zion rebranded.
Rebranded Zion.
Rebranded Zion. And
new Pepsi Cola.
They land and we get this cringy line about, oh, the general sent a welcoming party, which we find out is Niobe in really pathetic old woman makeup that didn't look good. It looked worse than the old person makeup in Midnight Mass, which was a television series on Netflix. Yeah. So I take that as you will, but Niobe's makeup sucked. Niobe's acting was the worst in this entire movie. And let's just say this is not exactly a masterclass in acting that we're talking about in this movie. There are not a lot of good actors outside of Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss, Trinity. I think both of them were good. Other than that, I think we're dealing with C tier and D tier actors for the most part. She was F tier. She was so bad. And some of her lines were they're hauntingly cringy. Hauntingly.
What if I told you it was by design? What if I told you The Matrix 4 made me take the biggest shit of my life?
So imagine this. Imagine that you're this soldier in a resistance, and the person that saved your life, saved the life of everyone that you love and know that's still alive, that died before, everyone, supposed to be dead. And then, like, as you're a grandparent aged person in your 60s or 70s, all of a sudden, against like, you didn't give the order, they did it behind your back, but they went and resurrected your savior. They went and resurrected the person that was responsible for you being there, being alive, everything, and says, I know that I didn't get your permission, but here's fucking Neo. Imagine your reaction being Niobe's reaction in this movie. It was nonsensical bullshit.
Yeah, it was so dumb.
I have to be a strong, mad woman.
I'd start to be like, here's the real Dark Horse take with this whole contrast of looking at young Keanu or young Neo versus old Niobe. That's what the Matrix is capable of? Keeping me young forever?
Mm-hmm.
Say word?
Say word?
Like, I would have been so bitter as an old ass, blind ass Niobe. Like, wait a minute, what? I've been aging my ass living in a cave for the past like 80 years, and you're telling me these robots just abduct you and put you in infinity fluid?
Yeah.
And let you live in the Matrix?
So Niobe throws Bugs in the brig and says, Neo, we need to have a walk and talk. And, you know, Neo being the passable, you know, sort of beta male version of himself, he's like, yeah, we should. Let's do that. And she proceeds to show him some fucking garden where they grow fruit and introduces him to her girlfriend, because she's a lesbian apparently. And
of course,
here's a strawberry, taste it. And oh, by the way, the machines made this, and here's a couple of them right here, and they're our friends now. Then they go into the cave for Matrix 2. Remember in Matrix 2, that cringy cave dance scene? Like one of my least favorite scenes in Matrix 2.
I love that scene, dude.
God damn it. You say that every time, and I get mad at you every time. Stop saying that. They go back into that cave, and there's just a bunch of candles for no reason. I'm just like, who's stocking these candles? There's 5,000 candles in this cave.
Dude, they're trying to get down, dude. Ketamine was being passed. The tabs were being passed, bro.
And so Neo's like, what happened to Zion? And she's like, I've been waiting for you to ask that. And they go to this cave, and she's like, she shows the cringiest, most shit statue of Morpheus. It makes Morpheus look like he has autism. It's not a flattering pose, dude. And she's like, yeah, after everything happened.
Pretty autistic statue.
After everything happened, you know, they elected Morpheus as our leader, and he loved that. That fucking mansplaining bitch. He loved that, didn't he? And she's just like, well, we're imprisoning you now. Have fun. This was like the most dumb. Like, if you were going to imprison him, why the fuck did you need to show him strawberries and take him to the melted statue of Morpheus in that sex cave? Like, why? Why'd you need to do that? It was the lamest ambush of all time. And then it's capped off by the fact that the ambusher in the elevator, like, does like a little fanboy gushing moment where he's like, I've never met a legend before. Oh, I'll bet you have an 8-pack under there, don't you? Like, what the fuck? This is you, Neo. Here's your 18th floor estate on the Rapunzel Tower. By the way, could you fly, bro? Yeah, bro, I could fly. Like, what? What was this? Dude, this part of the movie was so fucking bad. It was inexplicable how bad it was, dude. But Morpheus shows up to save the day. He rains out of a gutter.
Rains out of a gutter. Oh, pixelated Morpheus? Talking about the drizzle?
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, the drizzle. Yes, the drizzle. An Aqua Teen reference. If only we could get some of that magic into Matrix 4.
When he's like that CGI, when he's like appearing over Trinity's pod in the I don't know what you call that. The towers.
You made them sound way cooler than they are. The towers.
When he's just standing over, that CGI was so terrible. It kind of reminded me of Josh Whedon's Snyder.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Justice League with Cyborg.
Yep,
that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, there were a few parts like that. So Morpheus makes some wisecrack, new Morpheus, and says, and Neo's like, where's Bugs at? And new Morpheus is like, well, she's supposed to be in the brig, but what she's really doing is about ready to pick you up. And he's like, cool. And then he just jumps on a spaceship in front of him and they escape. And they pan to like Niobe and grandma girlfriend. And she's like,
Gay Morpheus has a really cool lesbian best friend named Bugs.
Yeah.
And he's happy.
And so they do a jailbreak and they go after Trinity. Now you would hope that, okay, the really bad parts of this movie are over now. Not really, no.
No.
We're at the halfway point of the really bad part, I would say. Maybe some would argue, maybe there's more, but I think it's the halfway point. Now we're going to go back into the Matrix, into like this weird generic clock tower place where Agent Smith shows up, new Smith, and says, I knew you'd be here. So did the analyst, NPH. Doogie Howser knew too. And because I want to kill him and I don't want you to kill him, I have revived a bunch of weird characters from the old movies, including, what was that guy's name? The Magavalian, or the guy from Matrix 2 that they stole the key from or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I forget his name. It's like the Megalavian or some weird shit. They bring him back and he's just like this fucking weird guy who just spurts shit. Like his character has totally been annihilated. He's just become like a total cartoon. Like he has brain damage or something. It's bizarre.
Yeah, he's a corrupted program.
Yeah. Okay. Corrupted. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, dude. Aren't you hip? Read between the lines. I'm trying to make their story better with my imagination. You get what I'm saying? You picking up my drift here?
We also have one of the most cringy lines of the entire movie, where the hot Russian chick, who by the way looks way hotter outside the Matrix than she does inside. I think that was sort of a woke analogy, because she was like a 9 out of 10 on the wannabe Nebuchadnezzar, but as soon as she goes in the Matrix, she's like this short-haired lesbian that looks like a 5 out of 10 instead. It's just like, okay, whatever. You want to make yourself uglier in real life. Okay, whatever.
She doesn't like that men are attracted to her.
She doesn't.
And she didn't know how to deal with that in reality. But in the Matrix, they gave her the tools to be her own worst enemy.
Yeah, so she's doing a walk and talk with the guy from SGU and Sense8.
Guy from SGU.
And she's like, so what do you think about Neo, bro? And he's like, you know what? I was worried because he's old, but now that I see him, I totally want to fuck him. This goes beyond insulting. This is sort of like one of those ham-fisted lines that people throw in just to give representation, where you're just like, okay, like, what? Why was that necessary? Is there any other way in which this character is portrayed as gay? Do you need to portray him as gay? Is he even worthy of having a portrayal that deep in the first place? The answer to all these questions is no. It was bullshit, and it was a throwaway line that would just made you like sort of like away from the monitor or your TV or whatever. You're just like, ugh. Why?
Things that clearly the director cares more about than anybody else.
Yes.
You know?
I think what it really says is Lana Wachowski wants to fuck Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
And we get Neo.
The toll must be.
You want the boy soul? You gotta pay the troll toll. So we get the classic Neo versus Agent Smith fight scene of the movie, Broadcaster Nickels. What'd you think about that?
I shed quite a bit of tears.
I actually paused it and rewinded a few times just because I wasn't sure it was as bad as I thought it was. Like, okay, yeah, it was.
It was weird, man. Like, all of a sudden, the browser crashed and Enya started playing. And I started crying. I said, why do I feel so old?
Yeah. Yeah, this is the least cool Neo versus Agent Smith fight in the entire 4-movie history. By far.
So limp dick, dude.
It copied a bunch of aspects, but did them more poorly. Did you see the part where Neo punches through one of the pillars? And did you pay attention to the way the pillar broke when he punched it?
Oh yeah, dude.
It was so cheesy. It was
We're going backwards. Like everything looks worse now.
It does. And there's this part where Agent Smith's like, you know what, Neo, you're a shadow of yourself. You're not as cool as you used to be. And Neo's like, you're right, man. I need my woman. But then he does like some move on Agent Smith and knocks him down. And Agent Smith is like, nice move, bro. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, is this a role point? Like, what is this RP? Is this like, what is happening? This was bad.
They're trying to appeal to the young kids, dude. The young bucks. The ones, the TikToks. What was YouTube shorts? The shorters, dude.
The shorters, bro. Yeah. So we got Neo on the ropes, and Agent Smith pulls a sink off the wall, and it's so fake looking. That sink he pulled off the wall is so fake looking. He's about to kill Neo with the sink that's probably made of styrofoam. And Neo's like, now I'm mad. I'm gonna do Jedi Master Luke force push bubble attack, and throws him into the wall and out of reality. Inexplicable. And then it cues to like the wannabe Nebuchadnezzar, and like the operator's like, Neo's rising, so cool. I wanted to kill myself with this part of the movie, man.
I forgot about that line.
It's so bad.
That was one of the scenes. We were watching out the living room with my brother, our brother, and fucking. That was one of the lines where I just kind of like walked away and stopped watching.
That's a good moment to walk away. So they're in the Matrix, and Agent Smith is this all-powerful guy. We're supposed to believe that Neo just like knocks him out of reality, and he just casually walks back up the clock tower and like, hey guys, took care of that. Okay. like
they're planning on Neo being in Fortnite.
Yeah. It's not good, man. It's not good.
Movie's bumming me out. It's like, what's next? Does Matrix 4 start a new trilogy of Matrix movies? Are we going to get 2 more of these?
Yeah, and so now we get to the scene. Now, okay, this is going to transition to one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And this is where it starts to kind of climb back uphill a little bit. He says, I have to go see Trinity. And they're like, bro, we just took out like the old French guy, and that took all of our energy. We can't go on. And Neil's like, but we have to. And so they go to Trinity's bike shop, and we think we're going to get like this heartfelt reunion between the two. He says, I have to talk to you, Trinity. And Trinity's like, you shouldn't call me that. Okay. Do you know? Like at this point, you don't really think she knows she's Trinity. And for her to say that, you're kind of like, okay, so when did you find out you're Trinity? Okay, whatever. Moving on. Then the scene gets cool. This is like the NPH savior moment. Like this is the only part of the movie I thought he was good in. The scene where he shows up and he starts using this weird like bullet time variation to slow down Neo while he like jumps around like a fucking poltergeist on him. I really liked the dialogue. I really liked the effects. This is one of the few moments where I thought they actually pioneered something, where they did something new that wasn't just, this is something from the past. I mean, obviously it's a variation of bullet time, but it's new and different. It's not something I saw in Matrix 1, Matrix 2, or Matrix 3. What do you think about this scene? Because I actually really liked this scene with MPH. It's the only part of the movie, other than the very end, that I liked him in.
You ever seen the movie 300? I mean, it was cool, but the fact that I didn't even have to point it out, that you thought it was like a take on the bullet time special effects.
Oh,
So
it definitely. He says it himself.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm using bullet time to control you, Neo. That part of the scene I didn't like. Actually, that was my part that I didn't like from the scene. I don't know why. This is a sabotage movie, man. This movie could have been better, but she sabotaged
It's not
it.
a sabotage movie. It's a fuck you letter.
Yeah,
to like
same one and the same kind of.
Yeah.
I like the part where he shoots the gun and he's like, this is the part where you say, if only I had a few more minutes. And he does like the slow-mo trying to stop the bullet. And like he sort of MPH mocks Neo as he's trying to stop the bullet. And he holds an apple in front of the bullet to see the bullet go through the apple. Like, I liked all that. Like, all of the weird sort of effects of this scene and even some of the writing I thought were really good and kind of showed you what this movie could have been if they went a different direction and didn't want to just make a mockery of the Matrix.
AKA give it to that poor Indian woman. Dude, just a dude, that would have been the craziest twist, right? What if like this, like somebody with a lot of money and the right connections was just like, you know what? All right. Put your money where your mouth is. Make us a new Matrix movie. And it was just a banger. It was just an absolute banger, dude. Just like direct sequel to Matrix 1, you know, just absolute killer. And you're like, oh shit. We're on to something. That's what Matrix 4 should have been.
It should have
gave
been.
that Indian woman a chance.
Yeah, and
she would have connected the dot, the Terminator, T1, T2, everything.
Yeah.
She would have exposed all the elites of Hollywood. This would have been huge.
So at this point, we pull out of the Matrix. Neo's like, I'll be back, Trinity. And they go back, and then, like, the fanboy guy is shadowing him. And, like, they're like, oh, how dare you follow us? And he's like, I was under orders by Niobe. You can either get killed by the machines or come with me. And so they go back to fucking Io. And we get this, like, dressing down from Niobe, like, blah, 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 how dare you, blah, 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 and then blah, 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 and then, like, Neo, like, tries to defend Bugs because he's like, dude, she's the only good new character in this movie, Niobe, like, she's better than you, give her a break, and then Niobe's like, oh no, don't you dare mansplain to me and take her agency away from her for this choice. Oh, that might be the worst line in the entire movie. I cringed so hard at that. That was literally an SJW, like, talking point, ham-fisted, like the Kool-Aid man coming through the wall of this movie. It was so bad.
And you know what would have been really cool is if Bugs was like, no, no. I'm down with Dad. He's cool. You suck.
But then the friendly robot, what is it? Stingray? Manta Ray? I don't know. Some friendly robot shows up, and here's some more bad writing. Niobe's like, don't worry, it's a friend. Then she turns around and says, hello, friend. What? I thought, is this a fucking high school student project or the Matrix? Fuck you.
I'm telling you, bro.
I was so mad. I couldn't believe it. So then we go into this construct with the Indian chick who is a grown-up version of the little Indian girl from the original trilogy. And her name is Sati, who, by the way, was my patron in Ashen's Call, which, now that I look back on it, I don't know, was she named in the original Matrix trilogy and maybe my patron in Ashen's Call named herself after her, or is it a coincidence? I'm not sure. I think Sati is an important name in Indian religious culture, like the Hindu gods or whatever. I don't know, though. Either way, Priyanka Chopra is mediocre as fuck. Not the worst. Definitely not the best. Sort of just there to be there. I think she's like married to a Jonas brother, so she just got the role handed to her or something. And this is when the storyline starts to go a little woo-woo. What do you think? What do you think about the Sadi revelation with Niobe?
Thought it was fucking lame. Nothing in this movie like was like, oh man, wow.
I think there's one part that is,
You know
and
what'd
it's
been
coming
cool?
later.
If that bald kid that was teaching him how to bend the spoon ended up being the villain.
Where the fuck was
like
he?
Yeah, well, like I should have seen some Lex Luthor moments where he's just like floating 50 spoons, and he's like, "I bend all the spoons, Neo." And he's fucking it's like, you know, where's that moment?
Yeah. Well, if Lana Wachowski listened to our preview of Matrix 4 and then rewrote the script based on that, she would have had a much better movie on her hands. But alas, she didn't. And
I deserve to be consigliere on this movie.
Yeah.
Instead, wrong. Is that how you say that word? Consigliere.
Instead, we find out that Sati's dad created the two towers that held Neo and Trinity and created the super matrix out of their powers or whatever, blah, 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 blah. And they come up with this woo-woo plan to free Trinity without her taking the red pill. By the way, I just want to give one other positive shout out to this movie. I really thought that they were going to try and like change the lore of the red pill and blue pill based off of politics in 2021. I really thought they were either going to try and flip them around and make the blue pill the good one and the red pill the bad one, or they were going to do something else, but they didn't. They left that as it was. They didn't wokeify that, and I'll give them credit for that. But
we're saving that for Matrix 5 and 6.
But this whole plan that comes from Sati, where she's like, "Oh, we're gonna have a stand-in, and we're gonna remove the consciousness with a bypass, and we're gonna have Bugs be the bypass because she's so badass that she can hold the consciousness of Trinity and blah blah blah." And this was some like the worst woo-woo bullshit planning I've ever seen in my life. And you know, based off of the way Niobe was written previous to this, she'd be like, "Oh hell no, I'm gonna go grow some more strawberries with my friendly robots." But no, it just flash cuts to her with her captains, and she's like, "If I would have told you 5 hours ago I'd say yes to this mission, God would never know. But what I do know here today." I'm just like, what? What is happening right now? Like, there is no consistency of writing. This is such a joke. Niobe's just like, and God, there's so much cringe here. So she completely flips on her character and every choice she'd made before this. Like, we're in because, you know, the mystical Sati told me so. And I need some volunteers. And then Bug steps forward. Like the cringy, like pre-step forward acknowledgement thing that they do in movies. And then she's like, "Oh, hell no. You don't even know. I was going to order you anyway." And she's like, "Well, now you don't have to, General." And I'm like, well, that was kind of like a smarmy teenage girl moment with her mom. Okay, whatever. And then she's like, "Okay, well, for the rest of you," then they all step forward before she says anything. I'm just like, that is the most cliched bullshit. As if this scene couldn't get worse, they do that. Because the hits just keep coming.
Dude. They're strong, dude. They know what they have to do. A man's job.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And they know that they can fill those boots.
Yeah, so they go back in the Matrix, and Neo goes into this coffee shop called the Simu Latte, where he, you know, hung out with Trinity in the Matrix when she was hanging out with Chad. By the way, we haven't really talked about that.
Fucking hate that guy.
There's a cliche. They name the boyfriend Chad as to say, like, the Chads are the assholes and the beta males rule the earth and all that shit. Okay, whatever. But it was a little too on the nose for me. I thought that was pretty cringy. Cringe is sort of a key word in this review. You've probably heard it a few times in the past. It's a staple of Matrix Resurrections, and it will continue to be. He shows up, and he finds NPH, and they make this weird deal that makes no fucking sense. He says, "If she chooses to leave, you have to let her leave. And if she chooses to stay, I'll stay too, bro." And he's like, "Why would I do something stupid like that?" And he's like, "The same way I know I'll do something stupid like that." And then all of his like lame Matrix reject people come into the room, and he's just like, "Okay, cool." What the fuck, dude? did they just not try at all in this movie? Sometimes I'm just like, there is absolutely no effort in the writing here.
Man, you should have got that idea the moment you saw Thomas Anderson making a Matrix game as his Matrix job.
That might be my bias, man. I just liked that because I'd make games too, and like I've had dreams.
When
like
he's
all
like-
of my video games are based off of dreams I had, and for him, The Matrix was a dream that he made a video game based off. So I think I'm biased on that, and you're probably right. But I just don't agree on that. I like that part of it. I enjoyed that part. Hang me on the cross if you want, Broadcaster Nickels. I like that
dreams,
part.
Man. Those were the drugs.
It's really drugs.
It's just the drugs.
Anyway, Trinity shows up and he's like, hey, you want to come with me? And she's like, no, Neo, I have responsibilities and I have to go see my kids in the hospital. And she walks off with Chad and like these really cringy family characters that were just written like commercial characters. You know how characters in commercials are really shallow and just seem like not real? That's what this family of Trinities was in this movie. It's just like bullshit. As all the realism as Kate McKinnon in the Verizon commercials currently being broadcast all across Comcast at the moment. It's a joke. And as she's leaving with Chad, she looks back and sees Neo about to just get like murked, right? And she realizes the mistake she made. And then she tries to pull away a little bit, and Chad like grabs her hand real hard, like, you gotta come with me now. Like being the abusive husband or whatever bullshit. And she turns around, she's like, I really wish you wouldn't call me by that name. I'm Trinity, and if you know good for yourself, you'll lay your hands off me. Oh, why?
I'm Trinity.
God!
I got fucking L'd in number 3, but I'm back. She had like 12 tentacles to her chest, dude. And she's just like telling that fucking dude, step away if he knows what's good for him. Dude, she's dead.
Oh my God, man.
Like, where's the confidence coming from?
I don't know. It's total bullshit. And so now we get like our big fight of the movie. It starts right here. And we activate swarm mode. Agent Smith shows up to help because now Agent Smith is friends with Neo because apparently Neo set up his execution for him, blah, blah, blah. Agent Smith shows up and he shoots bullets into... inexplicable. He shoots bullets into MPH, the analyst, and it like matrix-fies his body, and it looks like he's supposed to be killed, right? Like the way they presented that, it looked like we're trying to say he's actually dead. Not that he was killed within the quote-unquote matrix, but he's dead.
He was deleted.
He's deleted. Oh, no. We'll get back to that later, but that's not the case. So all of his matrix... wannabes walk in and like surround the new Agent Smith, and new Agent Smith's like, oh, I guess our temporary alliance is over now. You know the difference between you and me? You always wanted to be one person and I was many, because apparently he is Ermac from Mortal Kombat, and he just becomes the cuck beta male bartender CD character. And he's like, what happened, bro? Then the analyst from Nebuchadnezzar Wannabe 2 shows up. He's like, you guys gotta leave now. You gotta run. And they walk outside, and here we get the scene, the ending scene basically starts here. Zombies approach from all corners, and we get another cringy line where they demasculate Neo, and the wannabe happy, I'm a big fan of you, you're a legend guy who like was against them but now is for them. He's like, don't suppose you can still fly, Neo? And then Neo does the thing that he did to fly in the original trilogy, and just nothing happens. He's like, nah, not gonna happen. Like no explanation, just like, whatever. Like, it's more insults to the original trilogy fans. Then Trinity just does a wipeout, hits like 8 fucking swarm bots, and it's like, you coming with me, Neo? He gets on the back of the bike with her, and they escape, and they just leave behind the wannabe Matrix team. Like, fuck you, we don't give a fuck about you. This is our love story. And we have some, like, sort of, cringy, semi-cringy, kind of generic chase scene stuff. We have some missiles coming from helicopters, blah, blah, blah. Pretty lame. But then the cool part of the movie happens. And this is the other favorite part of the movie for me. They just start randomly deciding to change the swarm bots into bombs. And they just start suicide bombing Neo and Trinity on the bike. I fucking loved that. I don't know about you, but that part, I was like, now this is what I'm fucking talking about. Let's have more of this and less of Niobe.
That creativity would have been better throughout the whole movie. It almost seemed like they were so tired of being lame.
They had to
just fucking blow these bitches up, and they're like, that sounds dope.
It was so good, and it was portrayed so well. And like the initial version, where like some dude wakes up in his bed with his wife, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And he's just like, "I don't know." And then his eyes go matrixy, and he just runs and jumps out of the window and just dive bombs. Like that was so cool, dude. And like it just went on, and it showed like massive amounts of them dive bombing at the same time. It was really fucking cool. But then they get to the end where they get to this office building and they climb to the top, and it sort of becomes like this Mexican standoff situation where they're surrounded all corners. There are two helicopters on each side of the building. One shoots a missile, and this is the only part of Jedi Master Keanu I liked in this movie in terms of his portrayal as a warrior. He like takes one of the missiles and then like force pushes it at the other helicopter. That was sick. More of that would have been cool. That was the only cool Neo battle moment in the entire movie, in my opinion. It came at the very end.
I'm glad you liked that.
You didn't like that, really?
I mean, at this point, I was so drunk. And I was just so disappointed in the movie.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Well, I liked it a lot the first viewing when I was drunk, and I also liked it the second viewing. It was cool. Like the way it was portrayed, it just seemed genuine, and it seemed like something the real Neo, the one would have done. It just seemed genuine to the moment. But then, they get surrounded by foot soldiers, swarmers, whatever. And this is where we get to another super cringy moment.
Trinity's powerful woman moment.
This is when we get the reveal that Neo isn't the one. They're both the one. And Trinity pulls him off the building. And they jump. And then like we get this weird moment like the operator's like, "Can he make the jump?" And then they're all like looking like, "Oh, can they make it?" And then it like does like a slow motion fall. And then Trinity starts flying, and she just like holds Neo like this little grocery bag. And again, the hits just keep on coming for Neo. He is so demasculated in this movie, or emasculated. It's so sad how they treated him. He's just being treated like a toddler here. And then he's like, "I'm not doing this. Are you doing this, Trinity?" And then Trinity just like goes all like on badass mode, stays silent. And as she looks around at like the helicopter surrounding her again, she's like, "Bye-bye." And then she goes straight up. Oh boy. Oh boy, Broadcaster Nickels.
This is where you got concerned?
This was like the crescendo. This is when you're just like, this is the hit piece on Neo. This is the hit piece on Morpheus. This is the hit piece on Agent Smith.
When I saw Morpheus / Agent Smith provocateur fucking in the dojo, the simulated dojo with his chest showing.
Oh God!
Kimono, I was like, all right, this movie's done. I was like, at that moment, I was like, I know every angle of this movie.
It was a bad omen. It was. So then, we get a scene in the wannabe Nebuchadnezzar where Trinity and Neo wake up after the weird bypass surgery with the friendly robots and bugs, and that whole shit was nonsensical. Moving on, whatever. You know, they wake up and they like sort of reach for each other's hands and hold them. I actually like that. Like, I thought if the movie was better, that moment would have been really impactful, but because the movie wasn't as good, it sort of fell flat a little bit, but it was a good moment. It's something you kind of expect. But then we go to the end, where I don't even know. So Neo and Trinity go back into the Matrix. They fly to MPH's house. It's just like this fucking broken house that looks like it was bombed in World War II. And he's just sitting there drinking tea on his chair. Even though he got erased, I thought, by Agent Smith. I don't, like, what happened? I guess nothing? Okay.
Partially deleted.
And then, like, there's just, like, this is probably one of the cringiest scenes in the entire movie. There's a lot of cringy scenes, but this is, like, the cringiest. Where basically Neo is just totally playing the role of the beta cuck. Trinity's now the leader. She's calling the shots. She, like, I do like the way that she, like, kicked his face off. That was a cool effect. But it was so weird because there's like, oh, we're not here to make a deal. We're just here to say thank you and tell you we're going to remake The Matrix. Like, why'd you need to do that? How'd you know he was even still alive? What is happening right now? Why does the analyst not care? He's like, go ahead. I don't care. I'm just going to sit here. Like, what is going on here? Broadcaster Nickels.
He's a leftover program that just wants to be part of the gang, dude.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. He's like, you know, as long as you let me say a lot, I'm guessing this is the angle they're taking. As long as you let me stick around, I'll let you do whatever you want, you know? Don't delete me.
Don't delete me, bro. Yeah. And so he tells them to paint the sky with rainbows, and then Trinity's like, yeah, it's a good idea. I guess we'll do that. And they fly off, and they do like the little... You know the way Neo flied at the end of the original Matrix? They do the exact same scene here. So again, the trend is we're just going to redo all of the Matrix 1, but the bad version that we would have made if it was our idea, if we didn't steal it. And that's the end, Broadcaster.
I feel like Matrix 4 was the opposite of the abridged version of Matrix, you know?
The burn like, bridge version of the Matrix.
Yeah, the burn bridge.
And you know, a lot of people think that this movie was setting up a trilogy. I don't. I think that Lily Wachowski purposely sabotaged this movie as much as possible so that they wouldn't want another one. I really believe that.
Yeah, I think this was a paycheck.
Yep. Well, I think it was exactly what the story in the movie said. I think that they said, we're going to do it with or without you, and she was pissed about it, and she's like, fine, I'll do it. I'm going to sabotage it. That's really what I believe.
If that's what happened, that's gangster.
I think that's what happened, man. I really do. But, you know.
Called up her boy Keanu, like, dude, these fuckers are trying to squeeze us.
Yeah.
Squeeze them back harder.
Yeah, so then we go to the credits, and then we get a post-credit scene where they talk about cat videos. God. And this is the part... I didn't even watch this scene the first time. I just turned the movie off when I got to the credits. Then the second time I watched it,
existed, so this is new to me.
Yeah. So the second time, I had read a story talking about how there was a post-credit scene. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll watch that the second time. I watched it the second time. It's that focus group that from the beginning of the movie where they're talking about what the Matrix is and what makes it cool, and they're like, the Matrix is dead, the internet's dead, video games is dead, movies are dead. What's in is cat videos. Let's make the cat tricks. Oh my God. Could you be any more 2008? Like cat videos? Like, holy shit, this movie is disconnected from reality in a big way.
There's a lot of people that still enjoy that culture of the internet.
Ho, 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 Broadcaster Nickels.
Middle-aged house moms, man.
Well... What do you think, Broadcaster? Do you have any final thoughts on The Matrix 4 before we give our final official Nick Cage rating of the season?
Be better. Let's take this moment. Everybody huddle around. Let's take this moment to give thanks for all the good movies in our past.
Yeah.
And give hope to those trying to make movies now. Because this garbage, this villainy is everywhere. They are burning the effigies. They are setting the monoliths aflame. All right. They're burning down the village. And no one seems to care. And I feel like Matrix 4 is just another domino to fall. You know?
Yeah, I think the telling thing about this movie is when I was looking at reviews of people that were positive, like really positive on it, the thing I noticed is that they all liked the parts of the movie that were super meta. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, could you imagine telling people that watched the original Matrix in the theater in 1998, the day, or I don't know if it was 98 or 99, the day after they watch it, they come out of the theater and you go up to them and be like, did you know that people are going to like The Matrix 4 because of its meta-analysis on pop culture and capitalism? It's just like, that's what they all liked. All the people super positive on it are super obsessed with the meta parts of the movie. And I'm just like, the meta parts of the movie were like 90% bad and 10% good.
Yeah. The aesthetic is what made the movie. The noir, cyberpunk noir, all the rain, everyone wearing black, the 1970s Lincoln Continentals with suicide doors, you know, the fucking steampunk-esque looking machinery that's pulling fucking machine bugs out of people's stomachs, you know, like
the noir. I think you nailed it.
No doubt.
The noir is what that movie was. A lot of people don't consider it that type of movie, but that is what it was. Like, totally, if you rewatch the original Matrix, it's so noir. Like, it's not even funny how much it is.
There was none of that in this fucking movie. Little loft with the DOS prompt just blinking, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't think about that, but that is noir.
It is. It was, and this movie is not at all in any way, shape, or form. But Broadcaster Nickels, as you know, here on the Crack Cellar Podcast, we have an official, patented Nick Cage rating system that you yourself designed 1 year today. On that system, Broadcaster Nickels, what do you rate The Matrix 4 / The Matrix Resurrection / The Matrix A Love Story?
I'm going to give it a big old fat Racer D for Ghost Rider.
Racer D.
Or what is it? Is that what it was? Is that the old school manga? Like anime? Racer D or
it was something like that. I was never into that. I don't know.
It starred that like dope ass Toyota for the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was never into Speed Racer or any of that crap, but I think you're probably close.
Yeah, man, it's just I can't get behind it. I just can't. You know, like I feel like when we watch movies like this where they like give you a little bit, you know, like 10% was enjoyable, 20% was enjoyable. It's like a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, guys, we're cool. Remember? We're a little in touch. Come on, we can be bygones, you know? Like that type of shit. And I'm stalwarting, dude. I'm here to tell you, fuck no, dude. That's just hot trash. I'm not allowing it in my gates.
Yeah. I think you're right a little bit on that note. That being said, I'm going to give it a Wicker Man. I don't think it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. It was not a good Matrix movie, but, and you know, this will be my controversial take. I think it was better than Matrix 2. I hate Matrix 2. The only part about Matrix 2 I liked was that first Agent Smith fight scene where he like is cloning himself like Naruto.
Dude, you didn't like the highway scene, dude, where Morpheus is like fucking crushing the front end of cars and shit?
It was okay, but I don't know. It just felt so shallow.
The ghost twins phasing into the fucking car with
You have a point about the ghost twins. The ghost twins were cool.
It was dope as fuck, dude.
I'll just say that the action in Matrix 2 was better than Matrix 4.
I think what we're discovering here, audience, is that he hasn't watched Matrix 2 in a long time.
I haven't.
If he were to review the records, you'd realize that
you might be right.
He's out of line.
I do remember Matrix 2 and Matrix 3 really well. I haven't seen them in a long time, but I didn't like Matrix 2. I really didn't. And I feel like I enjoyed Matrix 4 way more than I did Matrix 2 on first viewing. Now, that doesn't mean Matrix 4 is good. It just means that I didn't like Matrix 2 at all. And part of that is I was coming off Matrix 1, boys and girls, the greatest movie of all time, or one of the greatest movies of all time. Take your pick, but it's up there. And that's hard act to follow. It's like, you're Tim Dillon in 2012 following George Carlin in 1996. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I don't know.
What was Tim Dillon doing in 2012?
I think he was selling mortgages, right?
Oh yeah, that was his mortgage days, wasn't it? That was probably towards the end of his subprime mortgages, to be honest.
And with that, we'll close out. Honestly, if someone before you watch this movie offered you the red pill to watch the movie or the blue pill to fall asleep and forget this movie existed.
Blue pill.